Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Mike Hynes, and Mike is in New York, and he's the superintendent of a really awesome school district. And Mike, thanks so much for being with us today. And it's Port Washington, right?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. So first of all, thanks for being with us, Mike. And I watched your TED Talk, super awesome. I didn't get all the way through, but I'm going to watch the last couple extra minutes. It left off on Sadie's birthday, so we got to talk about her at some point, if
Sure.
that's
Of
okay. Um,
course.
but yeah, so what was your journey like to become a superintendent? That's a big responsibility. You got a lot of people looking up to you, and that's an awesome opportunity. What was your journey like?
Well, it is. And I think if I ever sat down to think about the magnitude of the responsibility, it could be paralyzing or overwhelming in some ways, but it really is it's a blessing and an honor to be able to lead a district and work with and serve others. My journey was really simple. I was an elementary teacher because I love working with young kids. Not that I don't like old kids, but of course I was drawn to young kids. And after a while, I just realized that I wanted to touch more lives, right? So classroom, yeah, between 20, 25 kids, and I wanted 400 kids. So I became a principal, elementary principal, who had rollerblades on and would rollerblade around the school and checking in classrooms and all that good stuff. But after a while, I realized I wanted to impact more students, and and I just went up the ladder, so to speak, and became an assistant superintendent. For a number of years, then past 13 as a superintendent of schools in three different school districts. And my common purpose is making sure that students understand the talents that they have, and then they maximize whatever potential that they have. And many kids who go through school systems don't know either of them. So
Mm.
my job is to make sure that we discover and uncover them.
That's awesome. I love that, Mike. That's so cool. Helping your students discover their talents and then how to develop and nurture that. Yeah, super cool. And then when you were a K through 5 student, was there anything that you maybe struggled with, Mike, when you were going through school?
Yeah, I think two things. One was I had debilitating stutter, which it's really remarkable that I can actually do what I do for a living, which is speak often. um, I had one speech teacher, who figured it out as far as how to help me overcome that. And I'll never forget the exercises I needed to do. She would actually make me put a Cheerio on the tip of my tongue and strengthen my tongue. And to this day, my favorite cereal is Cheerios. Of what's happened, I mean, it really the switch flipped from really struggling
Mm,
to string together, especially if one's emotional,
mm,
to get those words out. And I would say, Mike, the second thing had to do with I loved elementary school so much. And then once I went to middle school, junior high, and then high school, I became incredibly disengaged,
mm.
disenfranchised for a number of reasons. And I mentioned in that TED talk, I graduated in the bottom 10% of my class, the bottom 10%. And for me to say that as a superintendent it used to be embarrassing. It's not anymore. The reality is, and I say this often, we have lots of kids in all three levels, elementary, middle, and high school, who are in purgatory, right? They're not quite in heaven. Many of them are close to you know what, and they get lost, as I say, lost in the sauce. And we have to find the ability to connect with them, establish relationships, and all those different things. So that's really my mission when I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that is so awesome, Mike. So I'm definitely seeing a theme to how you lead, and I'll definitely attach the TED Talk so everyone can see that because it's awesome. But the first component was helping your kiddos find their talents, and then the second component is building and nurturing that relationship. So it's awesome. And what are you guys doing at your district, Mike, that you feel is moving the needle, so to speak, on the emotional mental health scale? To help
Sure.
help your kiddos.
Yeah. So, you know, when I think about like education as a whole, and I shared this with my staff when everybody came back to school, if you look at the past 100 years, as far as medicine, so you look at hospitals, if you saw a picture of a hospital 100 years ago, 100 years now,
Hmm.
Picture an airplane 100 years ago, 100 year automobile, phone. You can go through the gamut of supermarket. It's changed dramatically. But what
Hmm.
hasn't changed were schools
Hmm.
and the way they look, the way they act, the way we behave in our schools. And so, what I'm looking to do, because the times have changed, which means we have students who are struggling, as Dr. Peter Gray would say, we are serving a generation of students who are more depressed, have more anxiety and suicidal ideations than any generation before. So the question becomes, what are we doing? What can we do? And I look at 4 different levers that we're trying to move forward, and we are moving forward in our school district. The first one is nutrition, believe it or not. I really believe nutrition has a major impact on our students and our staff, and how they learn and what that means. The second has to do with movement. Our kids don't move enough. And believe it or not, if our kids are eating better, if they move often, and not just elementary kids, I'm talking middle school and high school kids, and the science behind that. So we're looking to incorporate ways for kids to move more, K through 12. The third thing has to do with innovation. Like, what are we doing that's new and different that schools internationally are doing, but we wouldn't even consider here in America? And I'll give you, for instance, real quick. I was in Finland for a while looking at how the Finns actually go about educating their youngsters. And believe it or not, they have recess 4 times a day. 4 times a day, they allow them to go outside. And I've
Great.
seen it firsthand, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if there's 2 feet of snow out, doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees, even though it's never 100 degrees in Finland. But the fact of the matter is that movement, them being outside, believe it or not, even though they're not teaching and learning in the classroom as much, they are outperforming all students around the world. And a lot of it, I believe, has to do with some of those things. So we're trying to incorporate that into our school system, which leads to mental health. I think if you take those 3 prongs of nutrition, movement, and trying to do things that are new and different that nobody would consider, I think it's going to help mental health.
That's awesome. Yeah, even on a personal level, I can completely support that, Mike. Just eating healthier. I know when I eat healthier, I do feel better when I'm loading up on the sugar and the caffeine, and I love all that stuff. When I eat a lot of donuts and ice cream, I love it. Yeah, I don't feel as well. And if I'm not moving as much, same. And what was the other? The recess. 4 times? Are you kidding? As a kid, I loved it. That was my favorite. It's like a restart for our
It
computer,
is.
right? It's
It
we get
is.
that little spinning ball of death. What do we do?
The
We
reboot.
restart. It's a
Yes.
reboot. Same for internally. We need that. So
And
the
adults need it. Adults need it too, not just kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, that could help prevent burnout the teachers are going through and admin and parents, all of us. Yeah, for recess. Well, the Finns are onto something, Mike. I
They
like
are.
that. Yeah.
They are.
No, that's cool. And if there's anything else that you're thinking, I wish, Mike would have asked me this. Why didn't he ask me this? That whatever's on your heart, Mike, that you'd like to share, the floor is all yours.
So if I'm speaking to parents or I'm speaking to educators, the one thing I really believe that we've gone to a really weird place here in education. And that's the idea that if a child does not go to college, then they're doomed for life. And I don't believe in that. So, in as much as I work in a wonderful, wonderful community and school district, and our kids go to Ivy's top tier 1 schools, I truly believe that if a child goes to the university, or if they go, and this is what I push both, I believe career and technical education is something that we don't support nearly enough for our kids. That means if they go into the trades, if they want to be an entrepreneur, whatever, musician, whatever it may be, I strongly encourage our kids to follow their heart and follow what their passions are. Now, in many ways, you have schools that are designed to only funnel kids to the university level. And I think that's a huge, huge mistake. So if the one thing that I would like to get out there is, if I'm a parent, I'm speaking to parents, if your child wants to go into the trades, trust me, they will do incredibly well. I'm telling you right now, no student loans, they'll have an apprenticeship, and they'll probably make more than most people who graduate from college within 2 years or 3 years anyway. And they'll be fiercely independent, and they may even own their own business at some point. So I think we have to rethink what the purpose of education is. It's not just to be a pipeline to universities. It's to really make sure kids flourish 5, 10, 15, 50 years from when they graduate.
Yeah, love that. Love that. And Mike, thanks so much, man, for carving out some time with us today and appreciate your forgot. Sadie. It was her birthday too yesterday. Your 10-year-old
Well,
daughter.
so Yeah, what we do is we celebrate her birthday twice. One is her real birthday's in February, but when she goes on her first day of school,
Mm,
that's a big thing for us because when Sadie was born, we they gave us the top 10 reasons why she wouldn't do well in life,
mm,
right? And so every year when she goes to school, I remind everybody how well she's doing.
that's
And I
awesome.
think, you can never judge, we hear this all the time, judge a book by its cover. We all have a disability. Many of us flourish because of those disabilities. And I think it's important that we don't judge people just by the way they look or the way that you perceive them.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, thank you so much, man. It's obvious how much of a heart you have for kids and how you really want to in a way improve the educational system, revolutionize it. You're bringing in new things like you're seeing in Finland, and you're really caring about the whole kid, the whole student. What their talent is, and encouraging that, and then building a really strong relationship with them, and just setting them up for success. So it's awesome what you're doing. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Very nice to see you.